And aloha, and welcome to the Caring Caregiver Show. I'm Savy Makalana, the founder of Gimme a Break, a nonprofit organization that's caring for caregivers, and we're here to bring back the joy of caregiving. We do that each week right here on the Caring Caregiver Show, connecting you to resources, connecting you to community, helping you to relax, to resource, and revive. And of course, eventually survive your journey so that you can continue to thrive beyond caregiving. Gimme a Break is a nonprofit organization. We're an all volunteer organization. So we get it. We're caregivers just like you. We know you're tired. We know that you've been doing this for some time, and we know that maybe a lot of you, most of you, are doing it without even having enough support. So contact us. Just go onto our website, gab808.org, or send us a snail mail through email, info@gab808.org. And you can text us at 808-754-3787 as well. Bottom line is you're not alone. You have a community. And in fact, we give you a break each week on our support sessions. So you can join us online on our support sessions each Tuesday evening at 8 p.m. It doesn't cost anything. You don't have to be a member. It's open to the public, and you can access it just about anywhere. So all you do is get on your phone, get on the Zoom app, and then enter the meeting ID 808-754-3787. Yes, that's our phone number that you text as well. So you could just enter that and you're on. You're on with a community of caregivers just like you. We are the tail end of your care receiving plan is the theme of most of our sessions. We take time to talk and help support one another. It's a very positive, safe space for you, but we also want to learn. And right now we're talking about your care receiving plan. In fact, believe that we're going to be talking about your insurance plan and what kind of insurance that you know or need to have. Do you know that this exists? Do you know what you can do to protect yourself for your care receiving? And so we'll be discussing that in our next session on Tuesday. So I hope you join us. Get informed. That's what we're here for. And if you need more information, again, you can go to gab808.org/support-sessions. And you can even log in straight from our website. Okay. So there you go. Now, the Caring Caregiver Show is how Gimme a Break gets you connected to your resources. And one of those resources that we have is our Giver's Guides online magazine. And it's a caregiver's guide to caregiving. And it's written for caregivers, by caregivers exclusively, and with a caregiver's point of view. The Giver's Guide that's coming out, it'll drop in just a couple of days on August 1st, is our next issue. We're featuring a wonderful local organization called CareSift. Now, CareSift, they do so much to help caregivers. I can't even tell you what they do, and they've helped me. When it came to placing mom, I didn't know what to do. I had my arms in the air and I was exhausted trying to call places, visit places, find the right place. And CareSift took all of that off of my shoulders and found me the most amazing place for my mother. And I've had to do that 3 times, and they've been there. And I'm excited to feature them on the Giver's Guides cover, and I'm also excited to share them with you. So check out, if you don't have it, all you have to do is to get an issue is to simply make a donation. Just make a donation to Gimme a Break. Like I said, we're an all volunteer organization. We don't have sponsors. We have some sponsors that help us with events, but we don't have grants or funding. We do this all on our own, and thanks to your donations. So $25 or more gets you 12 monthly issues of the Giver's Guides magazine. And you're going to be amazed at the information that you'll find within these pages. There's also resources that you'll see in here on the show, and you'll have contact information for them as well. All right. So, oh gosh, there's a really great article too. I was just looking at the picture, and on the front page, it's an article from a new writer who shared with us this article. It's called, "Is It Time to Move Closer to Your Loved One?" Boy, that's when it all begins, doesn't it? Yeah. So again, $25 or more, and it's a tax-deductible donation to Gimme a Break. Just go to gab808 caregiving.org/donate. And there you go. You get 12 monthly issues. And that helps you as a caregiver, and it helps us to do what we do for caregivers. Anyway, here we go. Wow. This is the finale of season 15. And boy, has it been a wonderful ride. I can't even tell you how excited I get every time we conclude a season, knowing and hearing all of your wonderful comments about the resources that had helped you all. So thank you for that. And thank you for sticking close to us and actually making us one of the top podcasts in I think it was the rating of, we were 19 in a rating of 75 top caregiver podcasts. So mahalo for that, and for tuning in. And that if this helps one caregiver, that's why we do it, right? And so you want to keep positive, you want to keep motivated. And I can't thank Andy for this season, the founder of iBOUNCE. We've enjoyed our motivational moment so much on the show. Where are you? There you are, Andy. And I'm so excited to have you and to be able to have had you on the show with us this season. I can't thank you enough for everything you've done. We've had comments from caregivers that were so thankful for the simplicity of what you say and how to just be mindful and be motivated and to be positive. So thank you for that. And of course, if you want to go back and look at any of all of the ones Andy's done for us this season, just go to YouTube. You can go to our YouTube channel. And I got the link up there for you, but you can get it on our website as well. And you can go back and see all of the wonderful motivational moments Andy's had for us and the one he's going to give us today as well. So Andy, here's to you. I'm turning it all over. Enjoy your last motivational moment for the season, and my heart, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that kind introduction. And it's been a real pleasure being able to speak with each of you in this platform. And it's been really fun for me as well. I was really contemplating what would be the most valuable thing that I could talk about today. As far as my expertise and understanding of mental resiliency and overcoming challenges and bouncing back from adversity and being a caregiver and what it takes to be a caregiver. And, it all comes back to where we put our attention. There's this old saying that we say in the sport and performance psychology field or mental resiliency field that says, where our energy goes, energy flows. And so with us, where we put our thoughts, where we put our attention is where our energy will go. So if we put our thought and attention on the difficulty, the hardness, the challenge, the difficult aspect of our lives, that's where our energy will go towards. Now, I'm not saying that we don't do hard things and we don't do difficult things. But there's this way of being able to get through those difficult things in a way that we're still positive and we're still grateful. So that's what I wanted to talk about today, is where we put our attention. And one of the most beneficial places that you can put your attention is on finding things to be grateful for. When you find things that you're grateful for, even in difficult situations, it has an undoing effect of stress. And that is heavily researched. That when we look for the good, when we find the good, when we find things that we're grateful for, we have the undoing effect of the stress that we experience in our lives. And when you break it all down, the mental side of all different challenges, that skill set of being able to look for the good and be grateful in difficult situations is one of the most beneficial things that you can do. Now, this can be very difficult. When you're going through difficult challenges, it's hard to be grateful. Now, let me share with you my own personal experience, and I'll end with this. It was back in February of 2025, so this year, about 6 months ago. I may have shared this in the past. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I fractured my C7 vertebrae. So in other words, I broke my neck. And I remember it was so challenging. It was extremely painful. I had to rely on a lot of people to help me. I ended up getting surgery where they fused my C6 and C7. And I remember being in the hospital after having surgery, and I'd been there for about 4 days. And as many of you know that work in hospitals or been a patient in a hospital, they don't let you sleep much. And so it's really hard being in the hospital for that reason, along with being injured. And I remember this moment that I had where I felt so extremely grateful for the people around me, for the doctors that were able to do this surgery. Had I done this exact same injury 50 years ago, I don't know how I would have recovered. And I just remember feeling this overwhelming sense of gratitude. And I remember it being kind of strange. I remember thinking, like, why do I feel so grateful in such an awful situation? And I realized it's because where I was putting my attention, I was focusing on how grateful I was for the surgeon. I was grateful for friends that came and visited me, for people that brought me little treats, for my wife that was there by my side, and for all these little things. And I remember it took away the stress. Yes, it was difficult. There was nothing fun about it, but I wasn't stressed. When most people, when they break their neck, would feel so much stress, because when we put our attention on the things that we are grateful for, the stress tends to be a lot lighter. So that's what I wanted to share with you all. It's okay. We go through hard things and we go through challenges, but when we are able to find things that we're grateful for in those moments, it makes all the difference. And that's been my experience and heavily researched as well. So it comes from both sides, which thank you so much for hearing me today.
Oh, thank you so much, Andy. I just can't express enough how kind you've been to be on the show and to share those moments with us for the past 8 weeks of your time. So thank you for that. And for sharing it with the community of caregivers. We are so grateful for you.
Thank you.
Please take care. We're going to keep in touch, and hopefully you and I will connect again. All right.
Yes, I hope so. Thank you so much.
Aloha, Andy.
Aloha.
All right, you guys know how to get a hold of Andy. He is a master resilience expert. If you just need a little bit of help, a little bit of push, just go to iBOUNCEup.org, and he's going to be there for you. You know, that's what it's all about, right? Let your energy flow and practice gratitude, and then keep that positive and keep motivated. We can do this, caregivers. We do not need to let the statistic drive us. We do not need to let 50% of caregivers pass before the ones they're caring for. We don't have to let that happen. We can beat the statistic because it's ours to control. And we can control that wonderful energy flow of positivity and gratitude. And if you feel weak, just go ahead and contact Andy. I'm sure he would be more than happy to listen and share with you. Oh boy, so excited for today's guest, and I'll tell you why. I want to bring on this wonderful person, but did you know that music has therapeutic effects? Well, I can testify. You know, my mom's dementia was taking over her brain, and one of the last ways that we communicated was through song, and it was a song that was familiar to her. So my next guest, or my first guest today, is a registered psychotherapist and credentialed music therapist fellow of the Association of Music and Imagery. Also a neurologic musical therapist fellow, associate professor with the University of Toronto, research and ethics chair. I'm going to I don't even know what this stands for, but I'm sure she'll tell me. The WFMT and managing editor of Music and Medicine, director of Notes by Amy. It is my true honor to welcome today Amy Clements-Cortes, Aloha, Amy. Oops, there we go. Aloha, Amy, and welcome. I am so honored to have you on the show today.
Aloha. Thank you so much for the kind invitation. It's lovely to be here.
I can't even tell you how excited I've been just because of what you do and how I know personally what a difference that made for me. My feeling was my mother was able to remember me that much longer
Mm.
because of music and song. So, what you do to me is amazing. Thank you so much for that. And please share with us your caregiving journey.
Yes. So, I mean, I feel really blessed to be a music therapist. Early in my life, I was always involved in singing and dancing and, really informally and through church worship. And so I wanted to have a career that involved music and care. And, I started doing a placement in high school where I was, singing with older adults in long-term care. And then I worked with a music therapist and one day a week. And I knew that that was a career for me. So that's what got me going to school to become a music therapist. And I began my journey as a formal caregiver, a professional caregiver, working with older adults having dementia and residing in long-term care and also a rehab and palliative care hospital. So my area of specialty has definitely been older adults and those with dementia and those at end of life, and supporting them with music therapy and music-based intervention. In the last years, I've also became the personal caregiver for my mom who had dementia. And so I have a kind of two different views, I guess, on the use of music in care provision.
Yeah.
But that's really kind of where my story got started.
Boy, I guess you could tell a lot more stories than I can about that as well. Is there one that kind of stands out to you, a significant moment where you were able to use music with either a senior or even with your mom?
Yeah, so I've been really lucky, as I started out as a clinician, right? So really doing group and individual music therapy sessions. So seeing, residents that would not be engaged, would be kind of looking down or not looking around. As soon as the music starts, they're socially interacting with each other. They're remembering lyrics that are stored in their long-term memory and singing along to songs that are, so significant and important to them. And
Yeah.
Watching caregivers, family that maybe are there during that interaction and seeing their reaction, because for a period of time, even if it's brief, they get to see the person that sometimes they don't see when they visit, right? They see that person that's so active. And that really sparked me to be engaging in a lot of research with using music and how we can use music to best interact with people that have dementia. So, one of my studies involved music-based intervention and specifically singing. So, what is the impact of choral singing, not only for older adults with dementia, but for them attending a choir with a caregiver? And what we found was there were significant improvements in reduction in pain, in improvement in mood, reduction in anxiety, not only for the older adults with dementia, but also for their caregivers.
Yeah,
So
I
being
believe
able
that.
to, yeah, very exciting to be able to see how something so simple and cost effective as
Right.
music can have this amazing impact.
What an aha moment that is for us, right?
Mhm.
Who knew, right? And yet it's so funny because we'll spend our whole lives being caught up in music and song and listening to, well, this is my age showing, but listen to the radio and playing a record. Boy, there you go. And but it becomes so much a part of who we are to this day. If I
Mhm.
hear a song, it'll trigger a great memory. And I just think that it seems like you said it's such a simple thing, and yet it has such overwhelming effect. um
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, my mother, when she was, you could tell she was beginning to forget who I was, and she would give me that look like, who are you? And
Mhm.
so I would sing, and it was so funny because she was so stuck on a lot of the Sound of Music songs.
Mhm.
But then there was another one that I guess her and my father used to sing to each other all the time, and again showing age, but it was, I love you a bushel and a peck. And so whenever I would sing that line, she would see me and say, oh, and she knew it was me.
Mhm.
And she would say my name, or she would say good morning, and she would suddenly realize, that it was me who was there talking to her, and that, the 11s, they say, on the forehead went away, and her whole demeanor changed. And so I really, really believe this. So tell me more about what you do now with that, and director notes by Amy and all of that. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So, as a neurologic music therapist, I mean, the music therapy programming that, we implement often looks at how we can change even the brain, right? So through engagement in music. So we know that that the brain has the ability to change. So someone that, for example, has had a stroke and maybe has aphasia at this point can actually learn to say some very simple phrasing through engagement in some of the techniques that we use, like melodic intonation therapy. So there's just like this whole gamut, and music therapy is one aspect. And then there's also that fits in with this whole continuum of music-based interventions. So I do provide consultation to caregivers on how they can best use music in the care that they provide. So, using music when they're doing care provision, for example, maybe if someone is agitated, using music to help them have a more relaxed experience when they're bathing or when they're getting dressed. So trying to find different ways that caregivers can use music purposefully when they're interacting with the person they're caring for. And then I'm very fortunate.
Yeah. Who thinks of that? Who thinks of that? You're already stressed out during bath time, and all you had to do is start the music before. What a simple and wonderful suggestion. Thank you. Yes. Wow.
Yes. Really. And now there is a caution that, we can't, music has the potential to do harm. So it's very important not to just put music on and leave someone listening to it. There has to be intention behind it. And there are resources about creating playlists that you can use that maybe can help calm someone that's agitated, right? But again, we want to do that purposefully. So not putting music on. Sometimes people think, well, let's just put music on all the time, but then it loses its impact and people don't pay attention. It's got to be the purposeful application and integration of music.
Or in the case of my mom, there was one particular song that would cause her to remember my father who had passed, and she would become very sad and depressed and start crying. And I had to avoid that song on the playlist. It had to get deleted. And I didn't realize it until I don't know how long. And I would go in, her whole mood was, she was just depressed, and sometimes she would become suicidal. I want it all to end, and I didn't even connect it till later that it was the music.
Yeah. I think that's why it's really important, to be mindful. I'm a really big proponent of, really advanced care planning, like thinking about the music you want, writing down a list of really important music for you that someday somebody might not know about you, even your closest family.
I love that. I'm putting that into the care receiving plan that I do. It covers all of those points, but yes, your music is a big one, because there's some music that I absolutely refuse to listen to. And I know that about many people. And I could imagine if I had to listen to music that I didn't like over and over, I mean, that would drive you to insanity there. You'd want your memory to go away.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, gosh, I feel like maybe there might be something we're missing. Is there anything else you wanted to share with our caregivers today?
There are some, for those listeners that want to, to learn a bit more about the research and the science behind why we're using music, there are some open access journal publications that I've co-authored, which talk about the benefits and the mechanisms as to why, music is having an impact. So do look for those. On my website, there's a list of some publications as well that you can have access to. So please check those out.
Yes, absolutely. And it's at Amy at notesbyamy.com. And you can get all that information and get in touch with Amy as well. And as you can see, this is something as a caregiver that is totally worth the time to do, because the impact can be so positive. And that's kind of, this whole show is all about positivity today. I love that. So thank you so much for what you do. Again, Amy at notesbyamy.com. Contact Amy. And there's up on the screen too is another Gmail address that you'll see if you're watching. And for those listening, just go to our website. You know how to do that and get the information, or contact us and we'll send you all that you need to contact Amy. I cannot thank you enough for taking time out of your day today to share with caregivers and to be here to emphasize the importance of having music in our lives. So thank
so
you,
much.
Amy, for everything you do.
Thank you.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Wow. See, I'm telling you, if you're a shower singer, I'll tell you, you better start writing those songs down that you like and not the ones that get stuck in your head over and over again on replay, because there is a way to still kind of keep somebody there and help them and calm them. I can just imagine that must be wonderful for those who have Alzheimer's and have become sort of violent and very depressed. And it's a wonderful, wonderful way to utilize something so simple. But make sure you're doing it correctly. Contact Amy, get the support. She's wonderful, as you saw. Okay, quick reminders. Big reminder, our Shine a Light celebration. There we go. Let me get that. No, I need this one. Why isn't there? We go. Got it. Our Shine a Light celebration is coming up on September the 6th. So I know there's some time, but I'm going to talk about it now, and make sure that you all are paying attention and going to either our social media or our webpage, which of course is jab808.org/shine2025. There it is. So make sure that you do that. Go and check it out. Our Shine a Light celebration is a wonderful celebration. We do this every year. This is our fourth annual celebration. And we are shining a light for caregivers because caregivers get isolated and they're in the dark and become invisible. But not only that, we've lost a lot of caregivers. That 50% statistic I told you earlier, yeah. Just in the past year, we've lost some in our community alone. And I'm sure you know some who have passed before the ones they're caring for. So it's our opportunity to shine a light for them and to shine a light for those of you who are caregiving even now, and know that each light means somebody cares, somebody sees you, and you're supported. So that's why we have the celebration. And it's going to be at the Kapilani Bandstand in Waikiki this year. I'm really excited about that. So check it out. And right when the sun sets, we're going to shine our lights, and you can reserve your light kit right now by going to jab808.org/shine2025. And then, of course, you'll pick it up at the celebration. All right. And also, registration will open on the 1st of August for our yearly caregiver retreat. Now, this is our 5th annual caregiver retreat. It is free and for caregivers. It's a full day of pampering, and it's very limited space. So once that opens up on Friday morning, get on our website. Go to jab808.org/retreat2025 and reserve your spot. It's a full day of pampering and community and education. And don't worry, we provide all the eats. Everything's there for you. So don't miss it. If you're a caregiver here in Hawaii, you want to be there on Oahu, okay? So that's what we want to do. This is the finale of season 15, everybody. We're not even messing around. We got so much wonderful stuff for you coming up. Oh, there, I put the retreat web address on there. Take a quick screenshot, and it's going up. And just amazing things that are happening. The Caring Caregiver Show really is for you. It's all about connecting you to resources that you need. Maybe even some you didn't know you needed, like my next guest, who created a space that helps people navigate retirement. That's right. It's not just retirement like, oh, I'm going to go travel the world. There's a lot more. And it's retirement, not just with strategy, but with soul and the heart of a caregiver with a passion to help others. Just what we've been talking about in your care receiving plan all month long, all year long. So please welcome my next guest. Very excited to have Jhanell Biggs, the founder and CEO of Moro, Moro. Very excited to have you here. Aloha, Jhanell. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you so much for the invitation. So happy to be here.
Oh, I'm so glad to have you here because I just love that you have such a unique view, and you really do put your heart and soul into this. It's not just something you're doing. Some people do coaching and it's more for profit, and really you have the heart of a caregiver. And so please share your caregiving journey with us.
Yeah, that's right. So my caregiving journey started actually during the pandemic, and it's a long distance caregiving journey. So my dad lives out of the country, or lived out of the country, he's now passed away. But in 2020, we started noticing that he was showing some signs of he was hallucinating, saying very strange things. It kind of just happened all of a sudden. At least that's how it feels now. And then, trying to navigate that, we couldn't travel to, he lives in Jamaica, or lived in Jamaica. We couldn't travel home. And so it was finding family, local, his, siblings to kind of jump in and help as we tried to figure out what was going on. A lot of things were closed. And so it was really, really difficult to try and caregive and be a support system for him and for our family members while we were trying to navigate. In addition to, ultimately he was diagnosed with dementia and also cancer at the same time. So we were fighting two, severe major illnesses during the pandemic, and just the distance made it extremely difficult. And I think, as far as caregiving, I know there are different parts and people play different roles. Primarily, my sister and I became more of a support system and financial caregivers. There was a time when things started to open up that I went and I was in Jamaica for about 3 or 4 months, just trying to help prepare and get everything organized, because we needed to make sure he had the right help and assistance at home, because he could no longer live at home by himself. So finding people to come and help take care of him, making sure he's getting the right medicines and medication, making sure that he was getting the right diagnoses. At one point, one of the medical professionals said that they thought he had schizophrenia, and obviously I knew that was wrong. He was 70, in his 70s at the time, early 70s.
Oh my goodness.
And so just trying to navigate that was really difficult. At the time I was still working. My background is in advertising, so I was still trying to navigate that. And then by 2024, the burnout was so real of trying to manage his care and manage my care. And I think it's so important. And that's why I love your platform, because caregivers need so much support as they are giving care to their loved ones.
And you also well know the importance of being prepared for what came up on your father, and how prepared was he? I don't know, because both my parents weren't.
He wasn't.
And I fell right into just a perfect storm with my parents. So I can relate. Yes.
Yeah, it really was the perfect storm.
And obviously this inspired you to start Moro, right?
It did. It was one of the kind of impetus. It was a series of big and small events. It was work wasn't really what I wanted to do. I started to look around and I recognized that, our population is aging. People are living longer. People are wanting to age in place. And then I thought to myself, I saw some research that I was doing, and it said, one of the most in-demand jobs is going to be home health aides by 2030. That was going to be, in demand. And it piqued my curiosity, because I was like, well, why is that, of all the professions? And it's because people are wanting to age in place. People are not wanting to necessarily go to nursing homes. And so providing in-home care, in addition to what, being an unpaid caregiver provides, but people are having to hire professionals to help take care of their loved ones. And then you have people who are in the sandwich generation that are taking care of their kids so there were all these different pieces of information. And then when I looked around, I noticed that, a lot of my friends were going through a similar situation where their parents were getting older and either retired or getting ready to retire. And what I found is that retirement really lacks the structure of the built-in structure of a career. And so that people actually really need the support as they transition from full-time work to, the next phase. And while I think as most people know, we focus on the financial piece of retirement, right? Which is very important, right? You need to know what your Social Security
Right.
benefits will be.
Yeah.
You need to, focus on all those things because you know where you're going to live. There are a lot of core things that really need to be sorted out when you decide to stop working full time.
Right.
But the big piece for me, and what really is interesting to me, is how are you going to spend your time constructively?
Right.
And the reason why I think that's so important to discuss, just as important as the financial piece, is that, when people don't have anything constructive to do,
Then what?
anxiety, depression,
Yep.
can all be risk factors for diseases like, depression and or dementia. And so the goal really is to get to a point where we can say that we're starting to reduce the incidences of these things. And we do that in a couple of different ways, primarily through one-on-one coaching. So I'd work with someone, they would, come to me, we would create a plan similar to how you create a caregiving plan.
Right.
We talk through, just do a deep dive into the different dimensions of their life. So it could be community, finding out what community means to them and how to build community. Maybe they have to move out of a home into a different state because they can no longer support rent or the mortgage in a specific location. And so we're looking at different facets of their life and trying to come up with a plan so that they can transition successfully.
Right. And so these are those non-financial lifestyles, right?
Correct.
This is part of that. I mean, what I see too a lot happening is, you retire and then you don't have a plan. You don't think
Right.
about that core, you think about the core things. You don't think about that bubble that you're talking about. And what happens is people fill that bubble. And so what they do is they got you watching their kids now, or they got you coming over and, or they're moving in and you're doing the cooking and the cleaning and, and I think that people tend to occupy that time and it's not by your choice.
Yeah.
And
That's also, that can be a big issue, right? Or you occupy your time with TV and you just become a couch potato. And it's not to say that there's nothing wrong with just, having a moment after you retire and just really just trying to recalibrate, right? Because you spent, 20, 30, 40 plus years working. So you deserve a break. Right. But you really want to find ways to keep your body moving. You want to find ways to keep your brain active. And so how are you going to make a plan to do that?
To plan that, to me, is phenomenal. And some people say, well, I'm just going to travel. Yeah, but you're not going to be traveling the whole time. Correct. So what else will you be doing? Correct. So then when you're at home, will you just sit in front of the television and watch shows and just let your body go? And, I love that. I love that you actually look at filling that time with positive. Yeah. And filling it with things that are going to benefit your health and give you longevity.
Exactly. Right. Because if we're living longer, we want to be living longer, healthier, right? We don't want
and happier.
And happier. Exactly. Exactly.
I mean, the news is depressing. If that's all you do is watch news all day and,
then don't advise sitting in front of the TV all day.
Yeah.
It really is not going to do anything to motivate you to do more, right? It's just going to kind of feel like gloom and doom at some point.
Yeah. And eventually you isolate. And of course, if you've been going from caregiving then to retirement, you're already isolated. So then you become even more isolated.
Yeah. I think that's a really good point because the caregiver who may be taking care of a loved one also needs to think about, depending on their age, if they're an older caregiver taking care of an older parent or maybe a spouse or a family friend or a loved one, they also need to think about how they're going to spend their time because yes, it is, 10, 20, 30 hours of their week that they may devote to being a caregiver, but you also need to support your own mental health, your own physical health as well. And so how do you do that? And then unfortunately, there will come a time when that person may pass on. And then you need to really think about, if you're at the retirement age, how are you going to, spend your time? So as a caregiver, I do often try to help people and get them to be proactive about preparing and helping the person that they're taking care of, but also helping themselves.
Yeah. And the statistic that I talk about, the 50% actually shoots up to 70%. So when you're 70 and older and you're caregiving for somebody, you have a 70% risk of passing before the one you're caring for.
Yeah.
So if you think about it, there's maybe a couple, and say the wife is caring for the husband. And we've just had this. I just lost a friend actually who was caring for her husband.
Sorry to
And
hear
because she didn't take care of herself, she passed before the husband, and now there's no one to care for him.
Yeah.
So I
mean,
love that you have this plan, because then now you have something to live for beyond that. So
Exactly.
it forces them to care for themselves
Exactly.
now.
Because sometimes caregivers, their identity, and even though I wasn't always there physically with my dad, your identity becomes a caregiver. And so that's
Right.
all that you do, all that you think about. It's
Yep.
their needs. And so, yeah, you sometimes neglect yours. And so it is important to think about life beyond being a caregiver, but the guilt and the
Yeah.
grief,
Yeah.
all those things kind of start to set in. So it makes you feel like you
Yeah.
can't, you're not giving yourself permission.
Right.
to-
So I love it that you coach to a plan. So it's like, now I want to outlive. I have a plan, by the way. So I do want to outlive you, because I
Yeah.
want to survive. And I
Yeah.
have a plan for what's going to happen once all this caregiving is done, because I have a life I want to live, and
Exactly.
it's not over.
Exactly. Right. Because you could potentially live another 10, 15, depending on how old you are, 20
Yeah.
years after you've done your kind of caregiving duties.
Right.
And now what? How are you going to fulfill whatever time that you have,
Yeah.
doing it in a way that's meaningful, gives your life purpose? You mentioned happiness, joy, all, clarity. I mean, that's one of the biggest tenets of what I try to do with clients, provide them with the sense of confidence so that they feel like they can move on, take a step away from what they used to do. So maybe you were, John the attorney for 30 years. Who are you now that you're not either the
Right.
John the attorney and caregiver? And, who are you now that you have kind of stepped into another phase? So I
Or
think
can you be so planned that you know that John the attorney is now going to become John, this guy who's got a great retirement plan,
absolutely.
and filled the bubble. I know exactly what I'm going to do. Well, what are you going to do when you retire? I know exactly. I talked to Jhanell, and Jhanell made me a plan. We worked on a plan. I
And
have
it's
a
we,
plan.
and that's the thing that's so important. It's we, right? I act
Yep.
merely as an accountability partner for you. So when we talk to each other, it's you telling me what your goals, your visions, your dreams are, and I help get you to that place, right? I'm never telling what you should do. It's really you saying, me holding a space for you to talk about, your vision, your dreams. I had a client who said she wanted to learn French and travel to France because it was always been a dream of hers. And now that she's retired, she can actually do it. She has the time to focus on it, the time to practice, the time to meet people, and then ultimately add the bonus of going to France.
And I like that your coaching will help to kind of break that chronic circle of constant caregiving, right? So you do a caregiving stint, and then they pass, and then next thing you know, you're looking for someone to caregive for, or you're going back into that because that's your comfortable place. I like being isolated. This is what I do, and I've actually met some who are still in like their 40s and early 50s who are continually going into one caregiving after another because it's their comfort and they have no other plan. I don't know anything else. Well, you can still learn. The Harvard has courses online.
There's so much. And I think you're right. I think that is the part that excites me about this is when I talk to people who maybe are limited in their vision of what can be and what's available.
Yeah.
But one of the other things that I talk to people about is something called like encore career. So you may have worked for several years doing XYZ, and now you're looking to do something part-time, and just to kind of fill the gap space of, a couple of hours a week as you try to, navigate what's next, right? And that could fill your pockets with some money, but also be fulfilled.
It fills your life with purpose. I mean, you sit there and you go, well, what do I do now? Well, call Jhanell. She'll help you find that.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's what you need. You need a plan. And if
Yeah.
you don't have a plan, then you're just going to willy-nilly go into life. And why do that? You've worked so hard to get to your retirement, to get to your point in life where you can live for yourself. Why leave it up to chance?
That
I love,
is so, like, I couldn't have said it better, because
right?
I watched, loved ones, aunts and uncles talk about, when I was younger in high school, hearing them talk about they couldn't wait till their retirement, and they're there, and it's like, it doesn't seem like this dream that they had been hoping and wishing for, because they weren't very proactive. And so it is so, I'm so passionate about getting people to a point where they feel that they can kind of take control of what's next. Just because you're older doesn't mean you can't plan, just like how you plan to have kids, or you plan to go to college, or a career, or any other major milestone. I feel like
You have to plan for that.
retirement is a huge milestone, and it's worth the investment in planning.
I love that. I love that. And I love that I can hear your passion in your voice. And I love that you understand that for caregivers. And you also have a special offer for our caregivers as well, right?
I do. So if you reach out to me, mention that you watch me on Caring Caregiver, I'm offering 20% off one of our plans. And so if you're interested in working with me, we would start with a 30-minute consultation, just to make sure that we're a good fit, good match. And then we would take it from there. So really reach out. I'm happy to even just chit chat, just to learn a little bit more about what your interests are and point you in the right direction.
And caregivers really appreciate that, because as it is, most of them have lost their jobs and are starting over anyway. And so any amount that they can save is wonderful. But for those of you who aren't in caregiving right now, or you're heading for your retirement and you're thinking about it, God, please include Jhanell in this plan. Take advantage of the savings and just mention the Caring Caregiver Show, and you'll get 20% off of a program that's going to give you more than 20% back of your life.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's totally worth it, right? You can call her at 646-504-9499, or email her at hello@trymoro.com, and that's Moro. So hello@trymoro.com, or just go onto our website at trymoro.com and check it out, see what's there, and get a hold of her, because this is what it's been all about this year, is making a plan. Stop allowing ourselves to be thrown into chaos and not have some sort of plan for ourselves. We have to continue to embrace life and find positivity and have things that we can continually be grateful for in our lives.
Exactly.
And people like you do that. So thank you for that, Jhanell.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity and the platform.
Yes. Any other last thoughts for our caregivers in our community?
Yeah, I think I volunteer at an older adults center in my neighborhood, and I know that caregiving can be difficult. I know the thought of getting older can be difficult and challenging. Retirement, looking ahead, can be daunting, is to figure out what's next. But something that one of the members said to me is about choosing happiness and waking up every day and choosing happiness. And I know sometimes it really is difficult to do that when you're faced with, like, my dad, when he was in the throes of dementia and cancer, but trying to find moments throughout the day that you can be grateful for or happy about really makes a difference. So that's kind of my last word.
Oh, bless your heart for that. And thank you so much for coming on. I'm so honored to have met you, and I'm so happy for what you do. And we're going to definitely keep in touch.
Yes.
And everybody, please contact Jhanell, get on the phone to her, 646-504-9499, or get on to trymoro.com and just check it out. There's so much there. Do it. That's the whole point, right? Do it. And this isn't a Nike moment. This is a, oh my God, we have to be ready moment.
Exactly.
And so be ready for what's coming. Find joy in our lives, and thank you. And I'm sending you some joy as well. Thank you so much for being on.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Yeah. See, what a wonderful, this is why I love this show. This is why I love this show. We connect with people from all over the world. For you caregivers, you are not alone. And these are caregivers themselves who get it, who see how they can get your lives and fill it with gratitude and fill it with joy. And all it takes is a simple thing. Oh my goodness, planning. Something we never do, right? Because we're operating in chaos. You can do it. Give Jhanell a call. Get to trymoro.com or call her at 646-504-9499. All right. Whew. Anyway, this show, as you know, is brought to you and paid for by Gimme a Break. So your donations go directly to pay those bills and keep us doing what we do. And if you make a donation, where's that slide? That's the one I want. If you make a donation of $25 or more, and by the way, it's tax deductible. You'll also get a mahalo gift from us. Mahalo, thank you in Hawaiian. A mahalo gift from us for 12 monthly issues of the Giver's Guides online magazine. So simple. In fact, for those of you who, and we're almost to 25, so you better hurry up. But anyone who takes advantage of that, makes that $25 donation, is going to get a free pamper kit sent to you. And that's for the first 25 who donate by the end of the month. And we're close to that number now with only a few more days to go. So your $25 donation is going to mean everything to us. It's one person at a time is going to help us to get to one person at a time. That's what we do. Whew. Well, it's a wrap. That's season 15. I hope something, somewhere, something said, someone connected will help your caregiving journey to be that much better. But don't worry. Season 16 begins in October. And until then, you'll be able to watch rebroadcasts of this season every Wednesday at noon and check out any season, any episode on our YouTube channel. I'm going to put that one back. I got to find that one. Where is that? Oh, it's right here. And you just go to our YouTube channel. It's right there. Just at Gimme a Break 808/streams. Okay. And go on there at Gimme a Break/streams on YouTube and watch any of the episodes ever. They're all there. And you can go back, and if you missed any information, you can go back and watch it. Okay. And find that resource that you need to get through your journey with joy. The Caring Caregiver Show is all about that. That's what we do. We're connecting you to resources and community with your wellness and survival as the goal. So you don't want to miss a single show, even when we're in broadcast. We broadcast. Watch them. Put it on your calendar every Wednesday, Hawaii Standard Time at noon. Put it on your calendar. And that's okay. I know caregivers can't be at the one place at any given time. I get that. So just go ahead and listen to us on podcast. And I know I have a really big audience on podcast. Thank you for all of your comments. Again, I really appreciate all of you. And I'm sending you all great big hugs for the day. Remember to take your hug. Remember how I showed you to do that? So you can listen to us on podcasts. We're on Spotify, Apple, any platform you use. Just listen to it. Just stay connected. That's what's really important. All right. We don't want you to lose that connection. And you can listen to us on podcast. Go to gab808.org/CCS, Caring Caregiver Show. Like I said, just stay connected. And in the meantime, remember to breathe. Doesn't that feel good? That took a whole second. You deserve more than that. Here's hoping that you're finding more joy in your caregiving every week right here on the Caring Caregiving Show. Thanks for tuning in. And please, always be kind to those who are caregiving, and especially to yourself. All right? Aloha, everyone. See you next season. I'm so excited, and maybe see you at the Shine a Light celebration. Aloha.